I'm Adam at Tailwater Outfitters, and this is the all-new Salt X II. So this is the newest iteration from Tsunami's Salt X line of reels. They came out with those a few years back, and this is like a Van Staal type reel if you've never seen it. Obviously, it looks very similar, totally sealed, 100% waterproof. I mean, that's the idea. It's trying to be a Van Staal, but for less money. So as you can see, it's all machined aluminum, so that didn't change. Very simplistic design. There's not a whole lot of different parts, a whole lot of different pieces to it. It's a solid block of aluminum. And if you're someone that fishes really hard, maybe you beat yourself up a little bit, you're a kayak fisherman, you wade from the beach or fish from the beach, you're taking waves, your stuff is getting wet, reels like this are really what you should be fishing. There's just nothing that's sealed as well as a style of reel like this, like a Van Staal, the Visser, something to that extent. That's really where these reels shine and where you need to be using them. This can kind of be overkill for just fishing from a boat. You just don't always need that much water resistance, but if you do need it, these reels are perfect for that. So like I said, this is the second iteration of this reel. So let's get into some of the specs and things they've improved upon over the first generation. We'll hit all the specs later on in the video, but first let's see what makes this better than the first generation Salt X. So they've added some titanium to this reel, and I think that is one of the biggest new features and one of the best features of this reel. So this main shaft in this reel is now titanium. That is huge. The Van Staal X2s all have titanium shafts. Titanium's totally rust and corrosion proof. Like, corrosion proof. It literally cannot happen. Rust cannot happen on the surface of titanium. Chemically, it's not possible. So that is a great thing to see in this reel. It's something that's gonna help this reel just withstand the elements and the test of time that much more, even more so than it already did before. Another place where they put titanium is the bail wire, which is super nice. It's black here. They also did it in the spool lip, which is an interesting touch. I don't know how much function that would really have. I know the line is making contact with that lip every time you make a cast, so there's a lot of water that's going to be in that spool lip. So I mean, it's interesting to have there. I don't know how much value that adds, but it has that. But the bail wire is definitely, I could see that having a big advantage by being titanium over whatever aluminum or whatever metal they were using before. So it's very nice to see there as well. One more thing they've done regarding sizes, they offer more sizes now. So there's a 3,000, a 4,000, a 6,000, and an 8,000. All your inshore is covered, and then even some of the tarpon, kingfish, some of the heavier offshore and just bigger fish applications they've got covered now with this bigger size. So this reel also has 5 more seals than the previous generation Salt X. So that puts it up to 19. I mean, you look all over this reel, the screws and the side plate, I mean, everywhere you see a screw going in, you see an O-ring behind it. You take the handle off, because this reel is reversible retrieve, not like the Van Staals. But you take the handle off, and I mean, look at that gigantic seal in there. That's not a little O-ring, that is a huge rubber seal that is not gonna let anything through. Another place you really see these seals too is the spool itself. You'll notice right away when you're taking the drag cap off, when you're taking the spool cap off, it is very dampened, like it's stiff, like it doesn't seem to loosen up. A lot of reels, when you start uncranking them, you start loosening things up, they'll free up a little bit. This one, there's definitely some added resistance all the way through, but that's because of this big giant seal in there. So that's going to keep everything out of the drag, all the elements, all the salt, all the sand. That is going to stop right at that seal if it made it even that far, and keep it out of the drag discs to help that drag function as it should. And then internally speaking, this reel also has the stainless gears, just like the first one does. This has the added stainless pinion as well. So there's just nothing to worry about. I mean, the stainless steel is extremely resistant to rust and corrosion. So it's nice to see a little more stainless in this versus the previous one as well. And so those are the main things that make it different and what they've improved upon over the first generation. But now let's hit the specs of this reel. So the sample reel I've got for this video is a 6,000 size. So all the specs we're gonna go through are specific to this size. So this 6000 weighs 17.7 ounces, has a gear ratio of 5.6 to 1, and that retrieves 40 inches of line per crank. This reel has 8 bearings, again has 19 internal seals, which is crazy. It holds 350 yards of 40-pound braid and has 40 pounds of max drag. And this reel costs $429. Now let's take it in the hand and see how it feels. So here it is in the hand, and it feels smoother than you would expect. Like these Van Staal type, ultra waterproof reels are not always very smooth. I mean, usually they're not. The more you lock up something like a seal around a moving part like that, that's not always the best for feel. But this is pretty smooth. I mean, definitely smoother than I was expecting. Definitely smoother than, the Van Staals for sure. It feels fairly lightweight in the hand too. You can see it's very skeletal. There's a lot of weight reduction cuts in it. There's a lot of holes in the spool. The rotor has holes everywhere. The body has holes in it. So it's a fairly lightweight reel for being a 6K, which is, the 6K even looks a hair bigger than some other 6Ks. Maybe that's just in my head, but I feel like it looks a hair bigger than a 6. If there's such thing as a 7K, maybe that's more what this looks like compared to the Shimano sizing. But it feels good. Let's feel the bail action. The bail feels good, very heavily assisted. And this strut, if you saw the other video, I compared the original Salt X to a Van Staal VR. And this strut is something that I kind of thought was weird. I didn't really see the need for it, but the more I thought about it, initially the way these are done in most reels, there's a spring, which is a small wire inside the hinge of the bail itself, and there was a spring in there too, but that's how they were assisted. So a strut like this and this mechanism, I feel like is going to hold up better. It's definitely more heavy duty than a little spring in there. It's more exposed out here, so we'll have to see how it holds up over time. But I think the mechanics make way more sense than I originally thought in a reel like this. It's just more heavy duty. The power handle feels very nice. It's got this kind of rubberized coating on it, which I really like the feel. I like these round power handles. It's kind of half, I guess, semicircle. It's not quite full circle, but I like the big round power handle a lot. And keep in mind too, this reel is reversible retrieve. Again, not like the Van Staals. Van Staals, you gotta buy left or right from the get-go and you cannot change it. This reel, you can take the handle and put it on this side if you're a right-hand retrieve person. I'm not. Left hand is the way to fish, but no shame in, reeling with the right hand. Let's hear the drag. Kind of bike bell sounding, but a little more dampened than a Van Staal. But sounds nice. Feels good in the hand. It feels very sturdy. It feels well built. Nothing's loose on it. The spool's not loose. The rotor has no give in it whatsoever. It feels heavy duty and well put together. So there it is. That's the Salt X II. Let us know what you think of it. I think it's well put together. It feels nice. I like the addition of the titanium because that starts to bridge the gap into the Van Staals, which, the X2 is a series of Van Staal that has the titanium main shaft in it. And that's, starting at $830 or $820, I believe. This reel's half that. So I think they're starting to make that decision a little harder, between this and the Van Staal, which I really, really like. But we'll see how they hold up. I think it's a very well put together reel. I'm sure it's going to do a great job. But check them out at tailwatershop.com. I've got a link down in the description. We don't have them in just yet, but we should be getting them very, very soon. But let us know what you think. Is this going to be a reel that you're going to consider now that they've got the addition of the smaller sizes and the larger sizes for that matter? But are you going to pick one up? Is this as good or better than a Van Staal? Let us know what you think in the comments. But thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.